Hey, what's up guys, SPSnake here, bringing you guys another Advanced Warfare video here today. Today, we're going to talk about the huge update that came March 3rd. It's been a few days from the time you guys are watching this, but I really wanted to get a good feel for every weapon so I can share my opinions, let you guys know if I would recommend the weapon, has it really changed, have it not changed, and also talk a little bit about this patch overall. Has it really changed up how Call of Duty plays? Are people using different weapons? Are they still pretty much using the same thing? Can anything really fix Advanced Warfare? Well, shouldn't really say fix. I would say, is there ever going to be an update that makes this game play differently, like drastically different? Because if you look at other Call of Duties, people used a lot of different weapons. You never really saw too many people just primarily sticking to one weapon. A lot of the times it would be a good variety of players, but in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, it seems like everybody kind of gravitates to the same 2 or 3 weapons within the game, and it can get quite boring. But we'll talk a little bit more about this topic a little bit later on in the video. Let's go ahead and get right into the patch notes. You guys are going to see it on screen. You guys can follow along. Some of these I'm just gonna skip through them, not really skip through them, just kind of read off what they have. Some of them haven't really changed even though you see them on the list. So first things first, you guys are going to see is heavy weapons have an increased player movement. It increased the speed by 5%, which it's not going to be much of a difference. If you still want to move faster, I recommend you guys do something like lightweight, but I guess anything does help. So 5%, even though it's not a big difference, on top of lightweight, then you might see a slight increase. It's not too bad. You can't really tell, basically. Correct the scopes on the AE4. I can't really say much about this weapon. I don't really use it too often. Don't really like the weapon, the feel of the weapon, and the damage output. So I try to stay away from it. So I can't really say too much about that weapon. MK14, used it a little bit recently. Don't really see much of a difference with the recoil reduction. I felt like it's always have really low recoil. I think the big problem with the weapon is, at least to me, is that it doesn't shoot fast enough. Some of these MK14s do have an increase in the fire rate, but for some reason there's something off about it. I don't know. There's something off about the MK14, but it's definitely not the recoil. I think they have to work on that one. Again, the ARX 160, increased magazine size, and also, according to Drifter, which I feel like he's a very reliable source for weapon stats, the ARX has also had a fire rate increase. So there's a delay, which is in between bursts, and you know that mini pause, that's the delay of each burst. And then you also have the fire rate, which is how fast it shoots out those whatever 3-4 bullets, how many ever bullets on the ARX shoots out at a time. So the fire rate has increased, which it feels really good. I really recommend the steel bite and the hole puncher even before this patch. But the thing I like about this patch now with the increased magazine size is that I can actually attach the attachments I want. So before, I used to run something like the extended mags, quick draw, and something like stock. But since, you know, I needed the extended mags, I always was using the iron sights, and the iron sights aren't the greatest, especially if you're playing the bigger maps and you really want to catch people off guard at long lines of sight. Then you need something like the red dot sight to be very, very accurate. The iron sights are good for medium to short range, in my personal opinion. Didn't have a problem there, but at those long range, it was a huge problem for me. I wasn't very accurate with the weapon. So now that they increase the magazine size, I no longer need the extended mag, so I can attach something like the red dot sight and go with a red dot sight, quick draw and stock setup, and it just been working phenomenal. I don't have stock yet for it because, you know, after every prestige you lose the stock and you have to reacquire the attachments, but even without the stock, it's pretty godly, and I feel really good with this increased magazine size. It's perfect. I think it's a little bit overboard. I think 40 bullets or somewhere along those lines would be nice. And perfect, but 45, just give me those 5 extra bullets. It's totally fine by me. More kills for me. So that's that. The ARX 160, if you guys haven't tried it out, definitely give it another go. It's definitely a lot better than it was before. Now, moving on to the AMR9, I also want to talk a little bit about this because it is one of the weapons that you guys may feel like, oh my god, this weapon has had the hugest buff. It's probably really good now, and to be honest, I've used it a couple of games. It's really not that different. It does have an increased damage. You actually are able to kill people. It also has a decreased time between bursts. That's the burst delay, which makes it feel like it's shooting a little bit more automatic. But the weapon variants I have aren't very good. Even I try to use the default one, still not good at all. I'm still yet to use the dynamo. I think that's probably going to be the best variant, but I don't have it on my main profile, and I haven't played on my secondary profile, so I can't really talk about too much about the AMR9. So, you know, it feels a lot better than before. That's what I'm going to say, but I can't really recommend it to be used continuously. I wouldn't call this a great submachine gun compared to the KF5 or the ASM1, of course. You know, I think I prefer the SN6 over this still, even though it has had the biggest buff within this patch though. So moving on, SN6 reduced recoil. Really couldn't tell much of a difference. It's always been a pretty accurate submachine gun in my personal opinion. KF5, a mid damage range increase. So now the mid range damage has been increased a little bit farther. Don't know exact numbers, but it feels slightly better. Not too much of a difference there though. Atlas 45, I can't really talk about this. Don't really use it much, and I couldn't really compare it. Even if I did use it now, I couldn't really compare it to the previous Atlas 45. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Now moving on, PDW, can't really talk about this because I probably only used it once in the beginning of Advanced Warfare and never again. It was pretty much weak. Now I don't even run a secondary, don't even bother running it. I'd rather have an extra perk, extra kill streak or something like that. So moving on, shotgun, reduced the spread using gun ho. Gun ho is one of the perks I don't recommend for shotguns. I've talked about this. If you guys missed my video where I explained what attachments, what perks I use for the shotguns, I'll make sure to link it right now on screen, or there will be a link down in the description below for the shotguns. It's not really in depth, but I do enlighten you with a few things that you guys may have not noticed about the shotgun. So yeah, gun ho, still wouldn't recommend it. Some people do like it. I don't personally. S12, increased fire rate, increased damage. I think a better thing for the S12 would have been like increased damage and increased range. I feel like the range is where it really brings down the weapon, but at the same time I guess they want to have a variety of different shotguns. That we do have the TAC that got increased range in the previous patch, so maybe that's why they didn't do the same for this weapon. They'll probably feel a little bit too similar, or it would have overpowered the TAC shotgun. So moving on, EPM3, reduced recoil. Don't like the weapon. I don't think the problem was ever the recoil for this weapon. I've said this in the past, it's that flash. It basically blinds you, so I can't stay on target with this weapon. If these guys are jumping around, it's really hard for me, even with the red dot sight. There's something about this. Also, the delay of when the bullet is fired and when it actually hits the target, there's like a mini delay there that I don't like at all. If it was pretty much instant, kind of like the other weapons, I think it would have been a lot better. But those are the two little problems I have with that weapon. The recoil was never really a big problem. Linux, reduced recoil. Can't really say much about this one. Never really used it. ASM1 slightly reduced the initial fire rate. So before, the initial fire rate was something like 1,000. Now has been decreased to about, like, I think 750 RPM, which you can tell a difference. You can definitely tell a difference. I don't really like it without rapid fire anymore. I do use it once in a while when I play on one of those maps that have like long lines of sight in certain sections and like really short range at other sections. But for the most part, I like rapid fire. I have the speakeasy, so it's not big of a problem with me, and it's probably still as deadly as it was before. Maybe slightly less deadly because of those initial bursts, but still very deadly just because of the increased fire rate. So now moving back to what I was talking about earlier in the video, has this patch actually changed anything in the Advanced Warfare? Have people been using different weapons? Have pretty much everything stayed the same? Are people still gravitating to the ASM1, to the BAL, to the AKs? What's going on right now? Will there ever be a patch that changes how the game plays and how people experiment with the weapons, because to be honest, at this point in time, I don't feel like much is going to change from this point. Pretty much we're almost halfway through the lifespan of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and we have seen slight buffs, we have seen nerfs, we have seen a few fixes here and there, but a lot of the things aren't very drastic to the point where the top tier weapons are going to be replaced by new top tier weapons, or they're not really close enough. What I like about Black Ops 2 is that a lot of the weapons are very usable. I felt like a lot of the weapons were pretty much similar in a way. Fire rate and little slight things were different about it. That what makes you gravitate towards different weapons. That's why you saw a lot of people gravitate to specific weapons. Like some people like the A94, while others like the Scar H, or there was a big debate between the MAA1 and the SWAT. I personally like the SWAT a lot. I also like the MAA1. They felt similar, but at the same time they were pretty much a different weapon, different occasions, different maps. I would like to use a specific weapon. The SWAT I felt like was a little bit more stronger. It hit harder at longer ranges than the MAA1. The MAA1 I just felt like it shot a lot faster, and it was still pretty strong at long ranges, but I just felt like the SWAT had a little bit more consistency when it came to the one-shot burst. Some other people felt like felt the total opposite of the weapon. So a lot of them felt similar in a way, but it seems like it's almost like, how can I explain this to you guys? Okay, let's take the BAL. So the BAL is a strong weapon, but there's different variants that people enjoy. Like I can say right now that if I say which is your favorite variants, half of you guys would choose the Obsidian Seed and the other half would choose something like the Inferno. Both of them are really strong weapons, very good weapons, top tier weapons, but it's all personal preference. Some people like the high fire rate, other people don't like that, and they like a slower, more precise, more you know, something that packs a bigger punch. So it was kind of like that. That's the one thing I liked about Black Ops 2, and I felt like these patches haven't really gotten there yet. I think they have to tie in the weapons to feel a little bit more closer to each other, but it can be quite difficult. I can understand why they're having trouble balancing these weapons, because they have to pretty much balance the base weapons and be assured that it will work for all the different type of variants that you will unlock for the weapon. So there's so many weapons. I can understand why this is happening, but at this point in time, I think these patches are not good enough to the point where people are going to change how they play. There's the weapons that are top tier are going to stay top tier, and that's how people are going to, you know, those are the weapons that people are going to gravitate to, and pretty much Advanced Warfare will be Advanced Warfare until, you know, the lifespan, however long the lifespan lasts for this game. But anyways, that's my personal opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think there will ever be a patch that changes how Call of Duty plays? Let me know that in the comment section below. Also, let me know if your weapon of choice has really changed based on this patch. But anyways, hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you guys didn't, drop a like, that'd be how appreciated. Make sure to subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care, guys. Peace.